People that were confident, had a good strategy, even passed a demo account multiple times and had been consistent on a demo account. But when it comes to these challenges, they'd not just failed once or twice, they'd failed 10 to 15 times, losing thousands of dollars trying to pass these accounts. So if this sounds like you, or you're in a position where you're struggling and you keep blowing these accounts, this video might save you months of pain. So let's just get into the video. So my current FTMO challenge, I've never done challenges until I posted on this channel. I never really trusted them. And the reason why I went with FTMO was because they were one of the most credible. They were more expensive, but they were one of the most credible. But with me, and this is different to a lot of people, but I wanted to go really conservative so I didn't blow the account. So I was aware that I wasn't going to pass these accounts as quick, because you see people that are passing accounts within a day or a week and they're going high risk, but you're more susceptible to lose. And at that point, I'm not in a position to spend £400 every single time blowing these accounts in a day. So I wanted to go conservative and gradually try and get it. So I started this account about October, nearly November, so coming up to sort of 6 months. But there's two ways to go about the challenge, as I just mentioned. I'm not currently, or I wasn't at this point, in a position to keep buying challenges. So I didn't mind if it was going to take a long time. I thought if I can make 15%, which is 10% for phase 1, 5% for phase 2, if I can make 15% in a year, then I'm going to pass in a year. I wasn't trying to flip these accounts and because I didn't want to keep buying them because I didn't have the money to keep buying them. But there is a fine line between time versus reward. It's coming up to 6 months of me on this challenge, and I'll show you where I'm at the minute. But there's a very fine line. But what I see a lot of people do is they go high risk and they end up blowing these accounts. So the reason why you might be blowing your account is you're not consistent. You're not consistent beforehand. You don't have consistency. So I would suggest going conservative, going low risk, 1% or 0.5% per trade, because drawdowns are inevitable. And I had a sequence of drawdown in early October, 4% down. I lost 4 trades in a row, so I was down 4%. We're now out of drawdown. But if I was going 3% risk to try and pass the account really quick, I would have blown the whole account. Because the problem is you see a lot of people passing accounts in a day or a week on social media, and it's very, very good for clicks. It's very, very good because people want to see, wow, he got an account so quick, maybe I can do that. But the reality is they're buying multiple challenges and failing them a lot. Like if they buy 4 challenges, they're failing 3 of them, losing money, and then they're passing 1 and showing the winning, which is fine if you have money, but for a lot of us, we don't. Also, people aren't treating challenges as real capital. Now, there's a 2 takes to this. Number 1, people say you shouldn't be taking it as a challenge, as a real capital, because you're not going to make any money on it. So go higher risk and try and pass quick. But again, you have to be aware that if you're going high risk, if you have a couple of losses in a row, you're going to blow the account. Also, people don't have a clear strategy and they're changing it in the challenge. So that they're able to be consistent on a demo or maybe on a small personal account. But when they scale up and see larger numbers with a 100K account, you're going to be, floating up and down 1-2% is $1,000 to $2,000 going up and down. So that affects their emotions and affects their decision making. And they're so wanting to pass this challenge so quick that they're entering positions at a price that they wouldn't usually enter. They're not sticking to their rules and they end up blowing the account. So there is another approach. And this is another approach that a lot of people say to do, because there isn't a right or wrong, it's what suits you. So if you have capital and you've been consistent, there is that strategy. What you see a lot of people do is they go higher risk on the challenges. They might buy 4 challenges. So if 100K account's £450, what they'll do is they'll buy 4 of them, which is about $1,800 or £1,800 that they spend on the challenge. They go high risk 2 or 3% per trade and try and pass this 10% target for phase 1 in a couple of trades or 1 trade. Now, that is a good strategy if you have capital and you're aware that you are likely to blow an account, because you don't know when the sequence of wins and losses are going to occur. You know long term, if you manage your risk, you'll have a positive expectancy, but you don't know the sequence of when the winners and losses could come. You could take 2 wins in a row and pass the account, but you could also take 3 losses in a row and blow the account. So there's 2 approaches. If you keep blowing accounts, it's probably because you're going high risk and you need to lower the risk. I've never blown an account. But I also haven't passed and haven't documented anything on here about me passing, because I've gone very conservative, and the account I've got on here I've just been documenting for everyone. I don't have another account at the minute, I'm just showing this. So I've not blown an account, but I've also not got an account because I've been going low risk. So there's a fine line between this. But also you have to remember the mindset. 15% a year is fantastic returns. Don't overlook that. If you can make 15 to 20% a year, that is unbelievable for industry standards. And the problem is social media makes it sound like you can make 5% every month, 10% every month consistently. And that isn't the case. If you were doing that, you'd have millions thrown at you by big banks and corporations that would give you capital to trade on their behalf, because 15% is phenomenal. If you can consistently do that year after year, you're not going to struggle to find capital. If you guys are getting value from this video, make sure you like, comment, and subscribe. A large proportion of you aren't subscribed. 80% are not subscribed. So make sure you're hitting that subscribe button to follow my journey, follow my funded account, how I'm getting on. And this channel is gonna be very exciting in the future, me documenting all my payouts, all the lessons, and someone you can relate to, because there's not many people being honest and open about trading. So make sure you hit that subscribe button, like and comment down below. Help this video get out to more people. I appreciate you guys. So my new approach, and this is an approach that I'm currently doing, but you guys can either do it or not, but I'm currently up about 1.9% on the account, so about 8% to go for phase 1. I'm going to keep this account risk adverse and keep the 1% risk approach, because that way it's unlikely for me to blow an account, because if I'm risking 1%, I have to have a lot of losses in a row, and I know my edge, I know my strategy. So even if I take 3-4 losses in a row, I know I can get that back with the risk reward. But I'm going to buy another 100k account, which is what a lot of some of these other YouTubers do, because I'm in a bit of a better financial position now than when I first started. And I'm going to go a bit more risky. So I'll document that as well, but I'm going to keep this account. I don't want to do it on this current account because I've been documenting this for months and don't want to just ruin the whole progress. But I'm going to buy another 100k account, maybe go 2.5% risk per trade. So I am very, very well aware of the risk of this. I'm very much aware that if I take a couple losses in a row, I could be nearly breaching the 10% drawdown limit. However, there's a fine line between holding, like what I'm doing, this account for 6 months and not making any money, because you don't make any money on the demo accounts, on the challenges. So there's a fine line between blowing an account and losing that $450, but also risking a little bit more so you can get onto that payout stage, because I'm confident once I have a live account and I'm with the prop firm and I can get payouts, I can make, I think I'm up about 6% this year. From 2025. So if I had a large account, a 200k account, that's $12,000. If I had a 100k account, that's $6,000. So there's a fine line, but what I'm going to do is go a bit more high risk. I would be documenting that as well, but keep this one low risk. And I'm aware of the risks, and that's what you have to be aware of, because a lot of people have said to me, I've blown 10 accounts, I've lost all my savings. Guys, you shouldn't be putting all your money into your savings into these accounts. You need to make sure that you're well aware that there's a chance that you can blow these accounts, especially if you're new and you're not consistent, you don't have a good edge, and you need to make sure that you're not just going rogue and trying to pass these as quick as possible, unless you have a lot of disposable income where it doesn't affect you and you're happy to lose that. So I'd recommend starting low risk unless you have a proven results and money. So if you have a good track record, you're consistent, and you have a lot of money or a decent amount, that £450, if you were to lose it, it doesn't really affect you, then you could go a bit higher risk, which is what I'm going to do for the next challenge. But if not, you need to keep low risk, 0.5% or 1% per trade. And there might be people saying, well, why would I give advice when I haven't passed an account? This is about not blowing accounts, and I also haven't blown an account. I've never blown a funded account. So yeah, I'm not in the position to say about payouts and talking about profit from these prop firms, because I'm not in that position. But that's the exciting part about this channel, is I'm going to be showing all this when that inevitably comes. Because the problem is, if you go high risk and get lucky and have 2 winners in a row, but you're not consistent, you might pass and get to the live account, but your high chance of blowing it, I think the statistics like 0.07% of traders get payouts from a prop firm. So a lot of people will pass phase 1 and phase 2, but because they've got lucky with a couple of winners and high risk, when they're on the live account, slowly they just blow it, because they don't have a good track record, they're not consistent, and they're not able to manage their emotions and risk. Drawdown is inevitable. You won't see that on social media. A lot of the time people won't show their losses. I've been showing everything on here, and that's why people can criticize my trades and criticize what I do, but I'm going to be open to keep being honest and show my wins, my losses, and the whole journey. But what you'll see a lot of traders do is, like I said, they'll buy 3 accounts, they'll blow it and not put it on YouTube. The one account that they get one big winner that pays, which passes that account, they'll put on there, and everyone thinks they're a fantastic trader. So drawdown is inevitable. You need to make sure that you're managing your risk throughout that drawdown period, which is why 1% or 0.5% risk will ensure that you have a lot of opportunity to not blow that account. However, it will take you a lot longer to pass the account. That's the problem. Go on a demo account and prove you can pass it first. That's massively important, because there's no point paying for it. And if you don't have the money and you're just paying £400, £500 to do a funded account, but you can't prove to yourself that you're consistent and you can pass, then it's going to be unlikely that even if you do get lucky and pass, you're not going to be able to get a payout. Ensure you're disciplined outside of trading. That's massively important. I preach this a lot, but it's so important that it's not just about your strategy and your ability to trade. It's the mindset, and the mindset comes from the habits and discipline you have outside of trading. So that's what I would recommend. If you're blowing accounts, make sure that you're managing your risk. You're only putting money that you can't afford to lose, because people get emotional and end up wanting to pass these accounts quick and thinking about the payouts and the reward at the end. But inevitably, if you don't have a strategy and you don't know what you're doing, then you're going to end up, chances are, blowing these accounts. So make sure you're subscribe to this channel. We're trying to hit 6k subs, we're close. And I'm documenting everything on here. It's going to be extremely exciting to see what the future holds with my accounts, getting payouts. It'll be incredible to show you guys. I know a lot of you guys have been there from the start and been supporting me. And yeah, I'm documenting everything on here. So I appreciate the support. Hope this video helped. And I'll see you guys in the next video.